Hey everyone, I think this is the worst my hair has ever looked in one of these videos. That's probably not true considering I've been doing these for a really long time, but you know, especially in recent memory, this is crazy. It's because I took a shower this morning and I'm trying not to wash my hair as much or like intentionally dry my hair as much, and also not brush my hair as much because I have curly hair and I've been treating it like it's straight my whole life. And it doesn't really show up that significantly when it's short. But you know, as it gets longer, it gets pretty curly, and I brush it and it gets fuzzy and it's terrible. And so frankly, I'm sort of just resetting my hair care. I'm still using my 2-in-1 to wash it until it goes out. But then after that, I'm just going to be focusing on like what to do because you know, I do have curly hair and it's just something I'm gonna have to deal with. And I've sort of been ignoring it for a while. But you know, you can't just, that's bad for your hair, especially considering I'm pretty sure my uncle is bald, and you know, whatever the lineage math is, you know, they're bald, last I checked. So I'm predisposed for balding, and so I can't just like depend exclusively on like when I got on finasteride, right, if I don't want to go bald. And so I think just caring about hair care is something that's in my that's in my sights. And so ironically, my hair is gonna have to look pretty bad for this video. So, but that's why my hair looks like this. I woke up this morning at 5:20 a.m. and I walked on the treadmill for 50 minutes. Sadly, ever since my Apple Watch broke, I don't know if I told you guys about this. My Apple Watch broke. Not actually, like if I hold down the button, it'll probably turn on. Let's see. No. Okay. Oh, it's asking for a charger. My Apple Watch broke. It's a Apple Watch Series 7. It used to be my dad's, and then he gave it to me when he got his Series 8. I don't know why he went from 7 to 8, but you know. It's served me really well. I think the reason it broke is because of water damage. It keeps thinking that this button is pressed down. Like for those of you who don't know, there's a crown on the side, which is like a little circle you can spin, but then there's like just one button here. And it just constantly thinks this button is held down at all times. And so, for those of you who don't know, if you hold down this button, it calls the police. It does like an SOS thing. So the thing that would happen at work was I would be at work and I would be sweeping, and then it just starts like doing this really loud alarm. It starts calling the cops, which luckily I canceled and turned off my watch every time before it actually did, except for one time. One time I actually did call the 911 on my phone, which sucked. Yeah, but I think the reason why it was doing this, and the reason why it got damaged and why it thinks the button is pressed down all the time is because of at work, I have to interact with a 3-compartment sink a lot. And so I'm always dipping my watch in and out of, you know, water and then soap and then sanitizing solution. And I could imagine after, sorry, and I could imagine after, you know, 4 years of, yeah, like, and so I could imagine after 3 years of dipping this thing inside of essentially bleach for, you know, like twice a week, and scratching it and digging it enough, it's gonna have some sort of damage. So I'm not super bummed out about it. It does suck because the new Apple Watches just came out, and so, you know, I kind of wish this happened in like March or something. So then I would have no. I wouldn't be in like such a dynamic Apple Watch market position, because, you know, if it was like March, I would just purchase the secondhand, you know, titanium Apple Watch or a secondhand stainless steel type Apple Watch, like refurbished from Apple, because those are usually about the same price as this year's aluminum watch. However, the new Apple Watches just came out, so like the prices haven't fully, like the price depreciation for the Series 10 hasn't fully gone down since the Series 11 has come out. And so I'm kind of in a precarious position. Like, I don't know if I should hold out on waiting for this watch, because without the watch I exercise less, right? Or if I should just bite the bullet and just get the Series 11 aluminum, which I think is fine because this is aluminum and it's also fine, but like I don't want to, like, you know, I think especially for something you wear on your wrist, it's really valuable for it to be made out of titanium and sapphire as opposed to being made out of aluminum and glass for pretty obvious reasons, right? Like if you looked at this in real life, you could tell why I would want something like that. But you know, you take what you can get, and if I have to spend $400 on a Series 11 instead of $400 on a titanium Series 10, I guess that's okay. So we'll see. I'm still gonna wait a little bit, but I might bite the bullet within the next 7 days or so. Nothing else is really going on. I'm planning on eating at like 11:30. I'm probably gonna have a little bit of caffeine. I'm gonna have some tea, and then I'm gonna work on this little script for work, which I think I'm working on more than my job might want me to. They are paying. I was gonna say only paying me, but like they pay me a lot relatively to other places in the world. They pay me $22 an hour, which actually isn't that crazy for Seattle. Yeah, so they don't pay me that much, so I think it's fine, but like, you know, sometimes they ask me to do things and I spend a little too much time on them, and so I think I feel because we have a timesheet system, like you type in how much you worked on something and then they pay you that much. And of course you can lie. I think that's illegal. I don't lie because I don't want to incur the wrath of this company or the law, right? And I don't want to get fired because it's a good job. You know, you just put money into your time. You just put time into your timesheet, and so every single time I put time into my timesheet for something that like I didn't physically go to work to do, and like sweep or something. Like whenever it's something that isn't sweeping or painting or like building something, I always feel like I'm cheating whenever I put that time into my timesheet, because it's like, I was just clicking buttons on a keyboard. Was I doing real work? But of course, you know, it is, right? But it, you know, something my boss tells me at work. He's a great guy. He talks about how, you know, he went to community college for some sort of thing, like relatively recently. And he talks about how he did a few programming classes, like for making websites and stuff, because it's just a good skill set to have. And something that he had learned about himself, and, you know, this was presumed, judging by the choices he had made in his life, but it was sort of, this is what sort of vocalized it. That's not the right word. Solidified it? I don't know. Is that when he's working on a computer, you can't really see what you're working on physically. Like the screen doesn't change, right? Like the nice thing about doing trades, like he's a carpenter, is you can like physically see the amount of work you've done, and you can like sort of translate what you see to like the time spent making that thing. And that's as opposed to like a computer thing where you can't really tell if something was done in like 5 minutes versus like a few hours, right? Because unless you're like super into it and you like look at it deeply, there's no direct translation of like time spent to a final product. And so it's sort of difficult to feel like you're doing any real work if you're not physically doing something. And of course, you know, I'm pursuing a job in technology, right? So that's a little different for me. Like I find a lot of value in doing computer work. But it is true that when you have a job where you do primarily physical work, like sweeping and painting and building and, you know, demolition, right? It's when for that same job you start doing computer work, it feels like you're doing something different, and it feels like you're doing something you should be paid for, which I know is silly, and I know I'm probably creating just as much, if not more, value doing this computer work than, you know, if I were to be sweeping or painting or demolishing something. But because of like, you know, subtract the time saved or whatever. But that's a more complex calculation than seeing like, oh, thing not there, thing there, built, you know, like it's a, like, who wants to do math in their head for like how much stuff they did, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, nothing else is really going on. I'm feeling really good today. I only had a little bit of coffee this morning, and I slept for 8 hours. I probably didn't, because I woke up a couple times to like use the restroom and like fill up my water, and I only had like half an hour of slack in when I went to bed. So like if I was awake for more than half an hour, I didn't get 8 hours of sleep. But that's, you know, I'm splitting hairs there. And also, I don't have an Apple Watch, so I don't know how long I slept. I don't know. My computer hasn't told me. my computer hasn't told me how healthy I'm being, so I actually have no idea. And yeah, nothing else is happening. Wow, this is a 10-minute video. That's crazy.